Told an alien she looked stunning. Her reply left me speechless. The diplomatic blunder. Commander Theo Rivers was having the kind of day that made him question his career choices. Nexus Station hung like a gleaming silver pendant against the backdrop of swirling nebula clouds, its rotating rings catching the light of the nearby binary stars. Beautiful, yes, but Theo's appreciation for the view had diminished after 3 sleepless nights preparing for this diplomatic mission. The Vexari delegation had arrived precisely on schedule, their crystalline ship docking with an efficiency that made Earth vessels look positively primitive. Theo straightened his uniform for the 10th time, running through protocol reminders in his head. First contact had occurred 2 years ago, but this was the first formal treaty negotiation between humans and the Vexari Conclave. Commander Rivers, they're approaching the reception chamber. Lieutenant Patel's voice crackled through his earpiece. Theo nodded, squaring his shoulders. Understood. Final checks on the translation matrices. Operating at 97% certainty. Don't use idioms. When have I ever? Theo muttered, then winced at his own irony. The doors to the reception chamber slid open with a soft pneumatic hiss. Theo's first impression was of light. The 3 Vexari delegates seemed to shimmer from within, their tall, slender forms covered in intricate patterns that pulsed with bioluminescence beneath translucent skin. They moved with liquid grace, as though gravity held less sway over them. The central figure stepped forward. Theo had been briefed that this particular ambassador, identified with feminine pronouns in human translation, stood a head taller than him. Her skin held patterns that reminded him of constellations, shifting subtly as she moved. Commander Theo Rivers, she spoke, her voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic quality that the translator couldn't quite smooth out. I am Ambassador Nilara, first voice of the Vexari Conclave. We bring greetings and purpose. Theo performed the formal bow that had been painstakingly choreographed by cultural specialists. Ambassador Nilara, Nexus Station welcomes you. Earth extends its hand in friendship and cooperation. The greeting went well. The initial exchange of ceremonial gifts proceeded without incident. Theo began to relax marginally as they moved to the conference room, with its sweeping views of space. Perhaps this wouldn't be the disaster his commanding officer had predicted after all. The trouble began during the preliminary discussions about resource sharing in the Proxima system. Nilara's skin patterns had begun shifting more rapidly, luminous blues and purples cascading across her form like northern lights. It was mesmerizing, and Theo found himself distracted mid-sentence. Commander. Nilara tilted her head, a gesture he'd learned indicated curiosity. I apologize, Ambassador, Theo said, collecting himself. I was momentarily distracted by the stunning luminescence of your dermal patterns. They're quite beautiful. The room went silent. The 2 other Vexari delegates froze, their own patterns flaring bright, then dimming to an astonished pulse. Lieutenant Patel made a strangled sound from her position by the door. Nilara's eyes, multifaceted like opals, widened slightly. Then, to Theo's complete shock, her entire form began to emit a soft, rosy glow that spread from her core outward, transforming her usual blue-purple patterns to shimmering gold. You honor me with this sacred recognition, she said, her voice now containing additional harmonics that made the translator crackle. I accept your claim of resonant harmony. Theo glanced at Patel, whose face had gone pale. What did I just do? He whispered. Before anyone could respond, the 2 Vexari delegates approached, forming a circle around Theo and Nilara. One produced a crystalline object that hummed with energy. The recognition has been witnessed, the delegate announced formally. The bond is acknowledged. Commander Theo Rivers of Earth has initiated the Vexari Harmony Rite with Ambassador Nilara. The what now? Theo blurted, protocol forgotten. Nilara's glow pulsed once, strongly. You have recognized the soul pattern within me, Commander. Among the Vexari, such recognition is sacred. It indicates a resonance between minds rarely found even among our own kind. Theo's stomach dropped. Ambassador, I was simply complimenting your appearance. I didn't mean to initiate any kind of ritual. Intent does not negate recognition, the second delegate said firmly. The resonance cannot be falsely triggered. Your mind has recognized hers. Lieutenant Patil finally found her voice. Commander, I believe you've just entered into some form of bond with the ambassador. Naylara's expression was unreadable, but her luminescence had settled into a steady, warm glow. The harmony bond is not to be feared, Commander Rivers. It simply acknowledges a natural compatibility between our minds. Among my people, such bonds form the foundation of our deepest diplomatic relations. Diplomatic relations, Theo repeated faintly. Not marriage. A sound emerged from Nilara that the translator struggled with before rendering it as laughter. Not as you understand it, though there are similarities. The bond allows for enhanced understanding, emotional resonance, and in some cases, limited thought sharing. Thought sharing. Theo felt the beginning of a headache forming behind his eyes. Ambassador, I need to be very clear. This was not in any of our briefing materials. Because it has never occurred between our species, one delegate noted. It was considered theoretically impossible. The communication panel on the wall chimed urgently. Admiral Hernandez, Theo's commanding officer, appeared on screen, her expression thunderous. Commander Rivers, what the hell is happening? We're receiving formal notifications from the Vexery High Council about a harmony bond. Theo winced. Sir, there's been a misunderstanding. I complimented the ambassador's bioluminescence and apparently triggered some kind of recognition ritual. You did what? The Admiral's voice rose sharply. Nilara stepped forward. Admiral, if I may, the harmony bond is considered fortuitous among my people. It indicates a special potential for understanding between different minds. In our history, such unexpected bonds have often led to our most productive relationships with other species. Admiral Hernandez looked like she was calculating the fastest way to end Theo's career. Commander Rivers contained this situation. We need to understand the full implications before proceeding. The screen went dark. Theo turned to Nilara, who was observing him with what he thought might be concern, though reading Vexery expressions was still challenging. Ambassador, I apologize for any complications I've created. I meant no disrespect to your customs. There is no offense, Commander, Nilara replied. But we now stand at an unexpected crossroads. The bond has begun to form. It can be rejected, though such rejection is rare among my people. Theo felt something strange then, a whisper of emotion that wasn't his own. Curiosity, uncertainty, and something like anticipation brushed against his consciousness. Was that? He began. The first touch of the bond, Nilara confirmed. Your mind is more receptive than most humans, it seems. Lieutenant Patil cleared her throat. Sir, Earth Command will be expecting a full report, and the rest of the delegation is waiting. Theo nodded, gathering his composure. Ambassador Nilara, I suggest we continue with our scheduled discussions while I consult with my superiors about this development. A wise approach, Nilara agreed, her patterns shifting to a calmer rhythm. Though I must inform you, Commander Rivers, according to our traditions, you are now entitled to join the formal conclave proceedings previously closed to outsiders. As they walked toward the main conference hall, Theo felt another whisper across his mind. This time, a gentle reassurance that wasn't his own thought. Don't worry, Commander, Nilara said quietly beside him. Many great journeys begin with a misstep. Theo wasn't sure if her words made him feel better or worse. Either way, one thing was certain. This diplomatic mission had just become significantly more complicated. Bonds beyond words. The station's observation deck offered the best view of the swirling nebula outside, stars piercing through clouds of cosmic dust like distant lighthouses. Commander Theo Rivers stood alone, hands clasped behind his back, watching as a small transport vessel departed from the lower docking bay. The Earth delegation's reinforcements had arrived. along with what would likely be his court-martial. Your thoughts are turbulent, came Nylaura's melodic voice from behind him. Theo didn't turn immediately. Over the past 3 days, he'd grown somewhat accustomed to the Vexery ambassador's uncanny ability to sense his emotional state. The bond, as she called it, was developing despite his initial resistance. Admiral Kessler just docked, he said finally. He's not known for his diplomatic finesse or his fondness for unexpected complications. Nylaura moved beside him, her bioluminescent patterns rippling in thoughtful blues and greens. In the station's artificial twilight, she seemed to glow from within, casting soft light across the observation deck. The Vexery Council has also dispatched senior arbiters in, she offered. He is equally inflexible. Theo turned to face her. Will they try to break the bond? They can attempt it, Nylaura said, her multifaceted eyes reflecting starlight. But harmony bonds are not easily severed, especially once they've begun to mature. A soft pulse of concern, not his own, brushed against Theo's consciousness. These emotional echoes were becoming more frequent, clearer. Sometimes when they stood close, he caught glimpses of memories that weren't his. Crystalline spires rising from an azure sea, the sensation of swimming through glowing waters. You're worried, he observed. As are you, she countered. The difference is that my concern is for you, while yours is directed at consequences. The communication panel on the wall chimed, interrupting their moment of connection. Lieutenant Patel's voice emerged, professionally strained. Commander Rivers, Admiral Kessler requests your immediate presence in Conference Room Alpha. The Vexery delegation has also arrived. Acknowledged, Theo replied, straightening his uniform. Tell them we're on our way. We? Patel questioned. Ambassador Nylaura will accompany me. He glanced at the Vexery, who inclined her head in agreement. The bond makes her presence relevant. As they walked through the station's curved corridors, Theo felt a subtle pressure build behind his temples. Anxiety, but with a strange doubled quality. His own nervousness reflecting back, amplified by Nylaura's awareness of it. A technique, she said suddenly, her voice low. Focus on the space between heartbeats. It helps manage the resonance. Theo tried it, concentrating on the pause between each thud in his chest. Surprisingly, the pressure eased. Thank you, he said. Is this how Vexery children learn to control their bonds? We are born understanding, she replied. You are learning what we innately know. It is impressive. Conference Room Alpha had been reconfigured since the initial meeting. Now a large circular table dominated the space, with Earth officials on one side and the Vexery delegation on the other, a physical manifestation of the division between their species. Admiral Kessler, a broad-shouldered man with a perpetual scowl, stood as they entered. Commander Rivers, you've created quite a situation. From the Vexery side, an elder figure rose. Senior Arbiter Zin was distinguished by complex geometric patterns that pulsed with deep indigo light. His height exceeded even Nylaura's, and his bearing suggested centuries of authority. Ambassador Nylaura, Zin's harmonics carried disapproval that transcended translation. Your actions have complicated delicate negotiations. With respect, Arbiter, Nylaura replied, her luminescence steadying. The bond was unexpected but not manufactured. The recognition was genuine. Genuine or not, Admiral Kessler cut in. Commander Rivers had no authorization to enter into any form of binding arrangement with a foreign power. Theo stepped forward. Sir, I didn't intentionally trigger this bond. I simply commented on the ambassador's bioluminescence. You recognize her soul pattern, Zin corrected. Such recognition does not occur randomly, even among Vexery. For a human to perceive it suggests an anomaly we cannot ignore. Dr. Haruka Watanabe, Earth's xenobiologist, leaned forward with barely contained excitement, or perhaps it suggests previously undetected compatibility between our species' neurological structures. Regardless of scientific interest, Kessler said firmly, This bond presents security concerns. Commander Rivers now shares some form of psychic connection with a representative of a civilization we barely understand. Theo felt a flash of indignation that wasn't entirely his own. Nylara's patterns briefly flared gold. "The bond is not a security breach," she stated. "It is an avenue of understanding. Throughout our history, unexpected bonds have led to our most productive interspecies relations, or to war," Arbiter Zinn added coldly. When bonds were rejected or corrupted, a tense silence fell across the room. Theo felt the weight of both civilizations' concerns pressing down on him. Then, unexpectedly, he felt something else. A gentle pressure against his mind, Nylara deliberately sharing a memory. In his mind's eye, he saw two beings, one Vexari, one from a species he didn't recognize, standing before a massive gathering. Their joined hands glowed with shared luminescence as they signed what appeared to be a historic treaty. "The Concordat of Lyra," Nylara said aloud, "for everyone's benefit. Our most successful alliance began with an accidental bond, much like ours." Dr. Watanabe's eyes widened. "Did you just share that memory with Commander Rivers?" "Yes," Nylara confirmed. "Fascinating." The xenobiologist was already making notes. "The neural implications are secondary to security protocols," Kessler interrupted. "Commander Rivers, I am ordering you to undergo full psychological evaluation and neural scanning. Ambassador Nylara, the Vexari Conclave must provide complete documentation on this bond process and its effects." "That is acceptable," Nylara agreed, surprising Theo with her compliance. As the meeting continued, Theo found himself growing increasingly aware of subtle shifts in the room's dynamics. He could sense undercurrents of emotion. Kessler's wary suspicion, Watanabe's scientific curiosity, and beneath Arbiter Zinn's stern exterior, an unexpected flicker of hope. Later, as they exited the conference room, Theo pulled Nylara aside. "You felt it too?" he asked quietly. From Arbiter Zinn. Nylara's patterns rippled with surprise. "You perceive that? Already? Most bonded pairs take weeks to develop such sensitivity." "So I'm right. He's not entirely opposed to this bond." "Zinn was present for the Concordat of Lyra," she explained. "He witnessed how that unexpected bond transformed relations between our peoples. He fears repetition of mistakes, but also sees potential." Theo considered this. "And what do you see, Ambassador?" Her luminescence shifted to warmer hues. "I see possibility, Commander. The question is, what do you see?" Before he could answer, the station's alarm system activated with a piercing wail. Red emergency lights bathed the corridor as Lieutenant Patel's voice came over the comms. "Security breach in Section Delta. All personnel to emergency stations." Theo felt a spike of alarm, doubled, his and Nylara's together, as the station shuddered beneath their feet. "What's in Section Delta?" Nylara asked, steadying herself against the wall. "The environmental controls," Theo replied grimly. "Someone's just attacked the heart of the station." As they moved quickly toward the crisis, Theo became aware of something unexpected. They were moving in perfect synchronization, anticipating each other's movements without thought. The bond was strengthening, even as the station around them seemed to be falling apart. Whatever was happening, they would face it together, human and Vexari, connected by words that had changed both their fates forever.